My name is Asha. Why did my mother-in-law make me sleep on the kitchen floor? I was newly married. I came to a small house in our block. The house had a small yard and a low fence. My husband worked all day. His mother said I must sleep on the floor because I was careless. I felt small. I felt betrayed and very tired. The neighbor saw me once at night. I heard their noise and whispers. I kept a secret inside my heart. I wanted to cry, but I did not. I wanted help, but I had no money. However, a small moment changed everything. I remember it now, and the truth will come out in a strange way. My name is Asha. I married Rohan when I was 22. We lived in a small home in the suburb. The block had many houses. A neighbor liked to sit by the fence each evening. My husband is quiet. His mother is loud. She is the tenant of the house. The landlord lived next door. She told me to clean and cook all day. She said, "You are not from here. You must learn our way." She made a rule. I must sleep on the kitchen floor. She said, "This is your place." I asked, "Why me?" She laughed and said, "You will learn respect." I was shocked. I felt betrayed by my new family. I thought my husband would stop her. He did not. He said, "This is our home. Be patient." The words felt like a lock on my mouth. Days passed. I woke on the hard floor. My back hurt. My hands shook. I cooked and cleaned. I walked to the market with a small bag. The community watched me. Some neighbors were kind. One neighbor, Sita, gave me tea. She saw the bruise on my arm one day. She asked, "What happened?" I lied and said, "I fell." I did not want trouble. I feared a dispute. The noise at night from the road made my sleep worse. The fence at the yard had a small hole. A child from the block looked in and asked, "Why do you sleep there?" I felt shame. I tried to talk to my husband. I said, "Please, tell your mother to stop." He looked down. He said, "She raised me. She is alone now." I said, "I am alone too." He did not move. He was a good man once. He loved me in the first year. Then his mother took more power. She said I was bad for the property. She said the house small because of me. Her voice was like a storm. I began to keep a small notebook. I wrote times and words. I wrote the date of each hurt. The notebook was my secret. On some nights I read it and cried alone on the floor. I prayed for a change. I dreamed of a small light in the yard. That light came later. But first, I lived through many hard dawns. One night in the 10th year, something strange happened. I fell asleep on the floor and woke to the same morning again. The bowl of rice was warm. The clock showed 6. I looked around. I thought I was in a time loop. The day repeated. I saw the same noise at the fence. I saw the same neighbor walking by. At first I was scared. Then I used the loop. I watched small moments. I watched my mother-in-law in a new way. I saw her touch a small box under her bed. She hid it from everyone. I felt new anger. I wanted to know what was in the box. The loop gave me chance after chance to learn. On the third loop I followed her. She walked to the landlord's door. She spoke in a low voice. I hid behind a bush near the property line. I heard words about a past child. I heard her say, "He left me. She will not take him." My heart beat fast. My hands were cold. I had a new secret now. I found a torn photograph in the yard one night. The picture showed a young woman and a baby. I kept this photo in my notebook. When I learned more, I wrote it down. The loops let me speak to different people without fear. I told Sita the neighbor some small facts. She believed me. She said, "We must help you." The community began to watch. In one loop I found a letter under the fence. It was a paper from the past. The letter said the mother-in-law lost a child many years ago. She felt empty. She was afraid of new love in the house. She thought a daughter-in-law would take her son's heart. I felt a mix of pity and rage. I understood some reason, but I did not forgive her cruelty. Each loop taught me small things. Each loop showed me the path to the truth. I learned how to speak with strength. I learned when to wait and when to act. The time loop was like a slow teacher. It gave me courage little by little. I planned. I would use the loops to show the truth to my husband and to the community. The next morning I did not wait. I took my notebook and the torn photo. I went to the landlord. I said, "Please, I need to talk." He looked surprised. He was used to a quiet dispute at the block. He listened. I showed him the letter and the photo. He read and his face changed. He said, "This is old. She never told me." I asked the landlord to call a small meeting. He did not want trouble at first. But Sita and 2 other neighbors came. They sat on the low fence and listened. I told the truth. I said, "For 10 years I slept on the floor because she told my husband lies." I showed the notebook. I read her words. My husband stood still. His eyes moved like a storm. He loved his mother. He was shocked. He said, "Is this true?" His mother cried. She told a small story. She said she was afraid of losing love. She said she wanted her son near her. She did not stop to think of me. I felt pain. Then I felt power. I told the neighbor, we are a community. We must be fair. A home is for respect. The landlord said he would help with property papers. He said the house is safe for us. The community stood with me. A small crowd formed on the block. People knew the truth now. The mother-in-law could not hold her story inside the fence anymore. My husband moved slowly. He asked, "What will you do now?" I said, "I want a room. I want respect. I want to sleep in my own bed." He looked at his mother. He looked at me. For the first time in years he said, "I am sorry, Asha." He told his mother to stop. The mother-in-law sat down. She did not fight. She cried and said, "I was lonely. I made a bad choice." The community talked. The noise from the dispute changed to calm. The neighbors offered small gifts, a new blanket, food. The landlord fixed a broken lock on our door. The child over the fence brought a small lamp for my bed. The time loop ended the night I told the truth. I woke the next day and the clock moved forward. I felt like a new person. The block felt different. The fence no longer felt like a wall between me and the world. I learned a hard lesson. Endurance is not the same as silence. I kept my dignity and I found help. The community can be a safe place. A neighbor can be a friend. I forgave my husband later. He learned to speak up. The mother-in-law moved slowly toward change. She began to help in small ways. She cooked tea for me once and said, "I am sorry. I did not forget the 10 years, but I saw small signs of hope." I made a new plan for my life. I studied in the evening. I saved a little money. I learned English words from the neighbors. I wrote the story in my notebook to help others. The lesson is clear: do not hide pain alone. Tell one trusted neighbor. Keep a small record. Ask for help from the community, the landlord, or a kind friend. Endurance gives space for change. When truth comes out, it can bring healing. This truth also helped me learn English and find my voice. If you are in pain, speak to someone. You are not alone.